I guess you could call it a podcast. Maybe I'm testing something out. Maybe I ordered something that I want to talk about. I first want to ask you to subscribe. Nah, I'm just kidding. We'll do that whole shit later. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Diablo $, back with another banger of a video for you guys here on the channel. And today, I wanted to try something a little bit different. I guess you could call it a podcast. The purpose of it is essentially to talk about a bunch of random things that interest me. Maybe I'm testing something out. Maybe I ordered something that I want to talk about. But whatever the case may be, this is where I'm going to get all that out. This is where I'm going to talk about all the stuff that excites me. Audio gear, mostly audio gear. It's going to be a lot about audio gear. Maybe I throw some news in here, something like that. But that's essentially what this is going to be, is just one big podcast where I talk about whatever the fuck, but mostly audio gear related things. Now, having said that, one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was some gear that I was thinking about picking up, because I was thinking about getting a fairly expensive microphone, and now I'm not. But I feel like that might not be the smartest decision. You see, what I want to do is pick up two cheaper microphones, because then I have two different colors that I can choose from as opposed to one microphone. But the reason I think that might be stupid will come clear when I talk about what microphones I'm gonna get, But having said that, I first want to ask you to subscribe. Nah, I'm just kidding. We'll do that whole shit later. But the microphone that I was going to get was the United Studio Technologies UT Twin 87, which, for those who don't know, have two different circuits which give you two different colors. But the microphones that I want to get instead are the WA87 Junior and the WA47 Junior. The 87 Junior is a little bit newer, and I know the 47 Junior's been out for a while, but I think with the release of the 87 Junior, they made some tweaks to it and did like a Mark II type of situation, but they didn't label it as such. But I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on it. Now, the reason why I want the two microphones as opposed to the one that has multiple colors is for the simple fact that I feel like it's just generally better to have two microphones as opposed to just one. I have two inputs on the front of my interface. I could bring someone over and do a podcast with two physical microphones. With one microphone, we basically have to be kissing with a microphone in between us, No one wants to do that. Another reason why I'd like to have two microphones is just because if I break one when I'm out, at least I'm only out $300, and hopefully I get what I want out of it, and I get the time out of it, but God forbid I don't, and something happens to it, at least I'm only out $300, as opposed to if I have one microphone and it's $600, I'm probably not even going to want to travel with it. I'm probably not even going to want it to leave my room, I'm going to be tripping about it unless it comes with like a good sturdy case. And that's not really a trend until you get up to like the $800 to $1,000 range with tube microphones and even solid state microphones that come with cases up to a certain point, But this is definitely not that tier where they come with cases, Another microphone that I was eyeing was the Roswell Mini K67X. And the reason I was eyeing that one is it's a transformer microphone at a really good price. And that's something that is very interesting to me, as well as the fact, from what I've heard, it sounds good. Like, it sounds way better than like a $460 mic. It sounds way more expensive than that. That one probably wouldn't leave the house just because I'm not trying to break it, but the point still stands that that would be a nice fucking microphone to have. Enough on microphones though, because the next piece of gear that I want after I get the microphones is likely going to be the Neumann NDH-20, the closed back headphones. Now, they're expensive, especially now with tariffs. They've gone way up. Like, even compared to some of the other audio gear that I've seen, they've gone way up. Even with that though, I still want them for the simple fact that I haven't seen one bad review. I haven't seen one review that says, hey, I don't really like these headphones. They're just such a good pair for the $400, $500 price point. You're not going to find anything better until you hit like the $1,500 price point. You know, like they're that good from the reviews that I see. And don't quote me on this, but I believe that these headphones are also, you can replace individual parts. So for someone like me who is very hard on headphones, that is a very good thing. I can just buy a new headband. I don't need to fucking buy a whole new pair of headphones, you know? That's something that I don't really have money for. But if it's a headband that's like 30, 40, 50, even $60, I would pay that, especially for a $400 pair of headphones. That's just a deal that you don't really see with consumer brands, I feel like. But with Neumann, because they're a legacy brand and because they have to keep up with the competition nowadays, I feel like it's just really fucking cool that these headphones are still as cheap as they are. And that's not to say that they're cheap, because I don't believe that they are, but they're cheap by the standards of like pro audio gear, you know? And the last thing as far as audio gear that I want is a compressor, which is the Bluey 500 series compressor from Black Lion Audio. And the reason I want this is it's a 76 clone of the Bluey compressor, which Green Day used and a bunch of other artists used. But what's really cool about it is that it has a switch called the blue mode switch. I want to say that's what it's called. And it adds just like some grit and distortion to your voice that is just so beautiful and pleasing, in my opinion. I don't even want a preamp first. I want that compressor before anything else, especially for the price point. $700, bro, for a 76 style compressor, bro. Count me in. Dude, count me fucking in. I want it. And for real, the last piece of audio gear that I want is an interface. In specific, the one that I'm eyeing is the ID16, I want to believe is what it's called, from Audient Audio. And the reason I want that one is it's 8 channels of console grade preamps, which is amazing for the price point. I believe it's like $600, $700. 8 preamps from their console, the actual Audient Audio console, which I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but their console grade preamps is the point here, and clean preamps for my compressor to go into, but more specifically it's just helpful for recording podcasts. If I want to record drums for a band that I'm hoping to have in the future, I can do that with that interface. And it just gives me more flexibility. And then I can use my 276 as like a travel interface, you know? The other option, of course, would be a Volt 876, but I would hesitate to do that only because I couldn't daisy chain it to my Volt 276. I don't believe I could daisy chain it to an Apollo twin, but I don't fucking want an Apollo twin. I want to daisy chain it to my Volt 276, and I cannot do that, so it just loses the appeal, especially because to expand on it, I have to buy another $1,000 unit? No thank you. I'm not trying to spend $2,000 for 16 tracks, especially when they're not the cleanest tracks on the market. No thank you. I'm good. Now, and as I promised, off the topic of audio gear altogether, I want to talk about something that I just ordered that I'm actually personally excited about, and I'm going to talk about it here. Because I ordered Jujinifu, I think is how you pronounce it, smelling salts. And I'm excited about it because the hope is that it'll give me the motivation to do shit. It's unlikely, but that's what I'm hoping for. Because Adderall gives me the focus and the drive to do shit. So I'm hoping that this will be a slightly more healthy but still not recommended idea. And the reason I stress that point is because this is not regulated in any sort of way. It's not addictive, but there are some health concerns associated with it, and they do not ID you whatsoever because there are no government regulations on this. So do with that information what you will. I recommend you do nothing with it, but I will talk about my personal experience in next week's podcast. The last thing I want to talk about, well, probably the last thing that I'm going to talk about on today's podcast is a little bit of a story, because I posted a video called My Experience with the Yamaha HS4s, and I learned something about those HS4s that left me very, very frustrated, because I only lost maybe $30, but at the end of the day, it just kind of pissed me off because the dude lied to me. And the reason I say that is because they were not HS4s, they were HS3s, which explains the reason why I didn't have enough bass from them. But it also leads me to believe that the HS4s would have been a much bigger problem as far as noise is concerned. I am a lot more shocked, however, at how the HS3s performed, just because they are an inch smaller as far as the subwoofer. My opinions have completely changed. And I hope that someday in the near future, maybe I get the chance to try out the HS4s, because hopefully they'll impress me too. But I probably won't get the HS4s. I'll probably go straight to the HS5s, if anything. But that's going to do it for today's episode. If you enjoy, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that fun YouTube stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.